This podcast is brought to you by Planet Earth. We've only got one. Take care of it. Thank you. Now for today's guest, my friend, Mikey Russell. Okay.
That's good.
Well, we're started. Hello, Mikey.
Hey, John.
How's it going?
It's going good.
Yeah.
I like that you're doing a podcast. This is cool.
Yeah, thanks for being on it. I knew of you before I knew you. You were in a band called 504 Plan. And when I was in high school, I would go see your band play shows. I was a big fan. And I did eventually join that band, 504 Plan.
Yeah.
When did you start actually playing guitar?
I started playing guitar, I think, when I was 11 or 12. Was a drummer before that. Still am a drummer, but was a drummer before that, and then wanted to write songs and play melodies and stuff. So then I moved over to guitar. And
How old were you when 504 Plan started?
16 probably. 16-ish, 16, 17.
And how did that happen?
Nick and I were in music class together. We were always talking about bands, and he was really into, like, he was on a bunch of street teams for a bunch of record labels, and he was really into a bunch of different punk bands and stuff. And so I started playing with Nick, and that band just took off pretty quick, mainly because Nick was pretty focused and hardworking dude.
Was Tom and Adam in the band at this point?
I don't know if Tom was. Tom might have been, because we were three for a while. No, Tom was. Tom was at played the first shows with us and stuff. So yeah, Tom. I think Nick met Tom online, like on AOL, like talking about bands or something.
And so, yeah, you guys put out Treehouse Talk. That was your first actual full-length album, and that was the album that I first heard you guys. And that was in, how long had 504 Plan been a band then?
That was probably like a year or two in, probably 2 years into the band. You know, the first year in, we did that thing with John Emerson, I think. And then the second year, we were all huge 88 Fingers Louie fans. Like Chicago punk royalty. Nick got a hold of Dan, the guitar player, and I bought a guitar amp from him. We just started kind of corresponding that way, and then he offered to to record the record. And so we went and did a record with him, which for us was like, that's crazy. That was like one of our favorite bands, and we were doing the record with the guitar player. And
did you guys record that independently or release it independently?
No, we recorded it ourselves, but then Minardi put it out.
Johnny Minardi,
yeah. He had just started Little League Records, LLR, which is his first foray into doing what he does now, I guess, really, really well, it seems like, which is signing bands and putting out the records and stuff.
And so how long was Treehouse Talk out before you guys went in then with Sean O'Keefe to do the next EP?
6 or 8 months before we wanted to do new stuff, and then went in pretty quickly after that. That was supposed to be a split release with Fall Out Boy. That's how that started. We were going to do 3 songs, and they were going to do 3 songs.
The EP with Sean O'Keefe.
Yeah, well, it wasn't an EP at first. It was just 2 or 3 songs.
Okay, how did that come about?
We had become pretty good friends with them just from playing shows. Some of their first shows we were playing with them, and we decided to do a split together, like to help both of us out. We could split the cost of paying for it or whatever, paying for the recording or whatever. And when we went in to record it, we went in to do our 3 songs after they had done their 3 up at Smart Studios in Madison. And we heard it, and we were just like, holy shit, this is fucking wild. And those 3 songs, like, pretty quickly after that, got them a lot of attention, and they moved on pretty quickly to put them on a record. And so we were like, well, we have these songs now. Fall Out Boy they can't put their 3 songs on here because they were like shopping to labels and stuff. And then the 3 that we did went on to be on Minutia. That was the EP that we recorded, but pretty quickly after Adam quit the band. And that's when you came along.
That's when I came along.
Yeah.
Yeah. And at the time it was quite the game changer, because I was literally joining one of my favorite bands.
Yeah, which is crazy. I never remember it that way, because you and I became pretty good friends pretty quickly, and we were just hanging out all the time.
Yeah, so I joined after you guys put that EP out, and we did play quite a few shows. I actually took a month off of high school to go on tour.
Yeah, which is crazy. It's so fucking crazy when you think about it back then, like, I was talking with Nick Von Brack from Dr. Manhattan about that band. And like, when we were in it, we didn't necessarily, we were just being in a band how we knew how to be in a band, but we were in fucking high school, man. We were in high school. You had to take time off of high school to go on tour with, that was the Snake Across the Crown tour?
Yeah, and there was like a binder with like 1,000 pages worth of MapQuest directions printed out.
Yeah, because we didn't have GPS.
No.
We fucking had to go on MapQuest and print from venue to venue and follow the directions. I remember one time on tour before that, because 504 Plan did a good amount of touring. We probably did, I don't know, 4 or 5 tours total, but when you're in high school, that's a lot.
Yeah, that's huge.
And so I remember one time before that, we were like fucking in like Western Wisconsin or something. And Tom had forgot to like check the turns and stuff. And we got way out in the middle of nowhere, and we got like into Amish country. And it was like dirt roads, and everybody was like in covered wagons and shit. And we were like, had never seen anything like that before, being from here. And we were just like blown away. And we saw Amish people playing volleyball. It was fucking so bizarre. I'll never forget it.
The band disbanded probably after like it was about a year after I joined. We played a bunch of shows and we did some demos, and I think everybody was just kind of starting to grow apart. I was just finishing high school. You guys had already graduated.
Yeah, and I think there was just a kind of general, I think that the songs that we wrote at the end there, we were all pretty happy with, but there was also a general, nobody knew who was going to college, what was, what it really meant to go forward in the band. It was kind of like, do I not go to school to do this band, or do I,
And at this point, I feel like Fall Out Boy was already getting so massive.
Yeah.
And like, so compared to them, the band didn't seem to be going anywhere, even though we were probably still a lot more active and successful than most local bands.
Oh yeah. Yeah. We were still killing it, but yeah, it was definitely, that was kind of the mindset at the time of like looking at other bands that were getting scooped up. Everybody was getting signed around us.
Yeah.
And we were kind of getting looked over, I think. Like, I remember there was some reps from like Island Def Jam at our shows, and like some people were interested. It's funny because I ran into a guy in Phoenix not that long ago. I mean, actually, it was probably 5 years ago now. But he was a manager. He is a manager. And he's like, dude, I wanted to manage. When I was talking to him, he's like, you were in that fucking band? I wanted to manage that band like so bad, but I could never get any like response from you guys. And I was like, yeah,
you dodged a bullet.
Yeah. I was like, yeah, it's probably better off that way, man.
So how long after our 504 plan disbanded, did you start another band?
Really quickly. I was, quickly, I've come to like pretty much realize that this is just how I am now, but this was just a natural response I had then to not being in a band. It was like, I have to be in a band. It's like this shark keeps swimming my mentality that I have.
You're convicted.
Yeah, it's for better or worse, it's an affliction most times, but yeah, I just told them I didn't want to be in 504 Plan anymore. I wanted to be in a more like musical band, more musically nuanced.
And so you formed a band called Waxon Radio.
Yeah, with Tom's best friend from childhood, Bob Buckstaff, and Harrison and Sammy. And that band happened real fast. That was like, I think we started practicing in March. 504 Plan broke up in January. We started practicing in March, and we played a show in July.
Wow.
Yeah, it was like turn it over. We wrote 10 songs and just like fucking went for it. We played our first show at the Wheaton Grand Theater, and I expected to have a lot of like crossover, like 504 Plan people come to the show. So we put it out like on the flyers, like you would do back then at record breakers and stuff. X504 Plan, Waxon Radio X504 Plan. And we really got the word out. We went and we did the handbills. You remember when you'd like go stand outside of Metro?
Oh yeah.
And hand out the handbills and stuff. We did all that.
Pre-Twitter.
Yeah, pre all that. And like, yeah, there was like 40 people at the Wheaton Grand Theater, 40 or 50 people.
That band ended up becoming more successful than 504 Plan was.
Yeah, that band got pretty big pretty quickly. I think it was just kind of the right time and right place for a band that sounded like that. There was a lot of that Mars Volta energy was around, bands that were, there was this weird resurgence of progressive rock infused with, what had already been going on, which was kind of like emo-ish.
You guys got signed pretty quick. How did that happen?
We played Metro pretty fast after we started playing shows. I think by that fall, after the summer that we played our first show, and Mike Bachta was there. He was a production guy there, and he was looking to manage bands. And he just came up to me backstage, and he was like, dude, I bought this beer before your set, and I did not take a sip of it the whole time. I was just blown away every second. Like, do you guys have a manager? We said no. He said, it's like, come to my office and on Monday or whatever, and let's talk. And so we went down to the old KMA office and met up with him, and he pretty much was like, look, here's what I can do, blah, blah, blah. And he did a lot for that band. He worked pretty hard, and he got us some pretty cool stuff, including that record deal, which is one of the last, like, we got a decent size advance, and we got a van and a trailer out of it. No, this was before the 360 deals and after, like bands were still getting pretty healthy advances, and we were still getting, they bought us a brand new van, bought us a trailer, but we didn't have to give up too much stuff.
Right.
All that being said, it ended up not being the greatest partnership, and that band that's why that band fizzled out, was just the whole business side of it kind of took on a little bit too much thought for the band, and I think the band kind of suffered because of it.
It seems to be the case for most bands, huh?
Yeah, well, now it's like, I really try to keep that stuff so separate from the band, like, because if everybody's thinking about this, the shit that managers think about and that booking agents think about, it puts them in a totally different mindset than the mindset of an artist making, making something. You can't have those spices in the spice rack it's like,
it's conflicting.
Yeah, it's conflicting to have these things in the back of your mind while you're trying to just be wholly creative. So I think I have learned to compartmentalize it since then, and I feel like I do a good job of it now.
Right, it's somewhat necessary to play the game if you want to play music for a living for the rest of your life.
Yeah. I mean, but for me, it depends on what you expect out of it. I feel like if you expect to be rich, like, yeah, you got to play the game. There's no way to do it on like an indie rock level. There's just there's too many gatekeepers at this point, and unless you're in a position where for some reason you get some kind of like hit song out of like a normal, like I'm trying to think of a good example. Modest Mouse, before the Float On stuff happened, got to a pretty big size band.
Right.
But yeah, if you are thinking about, okay, this is the life that I want to have, how do I want to do that with music, the priorities are already skewed. You got to build your life and then have music go alongside of it and hope for the best. But that stuff, that was a big lesson learned from being in Wax, was that there's all these politics, and some of it was productive. Some of it helped to know how these guys think, and how, if you want to be on a record label, like a big record label, like this is how they are. And also to get that taste of like, oh, these people like aren't your friends. They're not putting your records out because they're your friends and they're helping you, like Johnny and Minardi had. They're putting out your records because they think they're going to make money on it. And if they don't, they're going to, that's it, Yeah.
So what happened with Wax?
We came home from a tour that we did with the Ataris, and we just kind of went and tried to write another record, and the writing process was kind of bogged down by this general feeling that if we didn't have some kind of a successful song on the next release, that it was going to be
a failure.
A failure, to at least to the people that we were working with. And so that's just not a good way to go into a writing process. And
based off of the music that you got signed on, you would think that there would have been an understanding that you weren't that band.
Yeah, but that's how some people in the record business work. They think, they probably heard, hey, this guy's got a good voice, and when we put our elbow on his neck, hopefully he'll be able to get something, do something that we want to hear. But until then, and there was a thing at that time where bands like Wax were pretty big, Coheed and Cambria, Mars Volta, and so they also were probably just throwing spaghetti at the wall with it, being like, well, this is good music and it sounds like that, let's try it out. But really didn't give it too strong of a try. The record was only out for about 8 or 9 months before they suggested we would go write another one. And so we did. We wrote another one. They said they don't like that one. So then we wrote another one, and just that process just kind of hobbled the band, because it's really hard to write, almost a full record, probably 8 songs. And they said, we don't like any of this. Go write more.
Wow. Yeah. After both of these bands ended, now how did you feel? How did you feel about music? Did you still have the conviction that you needed to be in another band?
Yeah. I mean, that's why I say, for better or worse. I mean, there was definitely, existential period there. I enrolled in college, and I went up to the doors and I was like, I'm not doing this. Like, I'm not going to get myself into debt for, I think I was going to college for anthropology or something. And, staring down the barrel of tens of thousands of dollars of debt for something that I didn't want to waste my time doing. So I just kept chugging away in bands. The next thing was Sons. And I was in Sons for probably 4 years or so. That's how I met Nick Enderly, who's in Camp Dogs with me now.
Yeah, and Sons got pretty big in Chicago as well.
Yeah, Sons was another one that our first show was at the Metro. The Metro again, which is crazy. That's crazy that,
Yeah, that's most Chicago bands' end goal.
Yeah. I mean, Chicago's been good to me. I'm not gonna lie about that. I've had good luck here with bands and people generally just paying attention to the bands that I'm in and stuff. So that's really cool because, most people on their third band, it's like, it's hard to get people to keep coming out to the shows and keep checking it out. But yeah, Sons did pretty good, and we put out a couple records, and we're talking to some labels and stuff, and we started working with Mike Bakta, which was Wax's manager, and he was shopping our second record around to labels, and there's a bunch of people interested in coming out to the shows in Manhattan and stuff, and we were kind of gearing up to do the thing again, and it kind of just the same thing happened as 504 Plan. Like the people in the band weren't sure that they wanted to go next level with it. I think they wanted to do other bands. They wanted to, Andy, the other songwriter, quit. He just wanted to write his own stuff and not be in a band. And so
it goes.
So it goes, yeah. So I was like, okay, well, I at that time I was also in Camp Dogs and Wedding Dress. So I was also in 3 bands at the same time. A lot of those other guys were in at least 2 bands.
Hedging your bets.
Yeah, we're just kind of, once you're in one band for a while, the songs. You don't have to practice very much unless you're writing new stuff. You only have to get together once every couple weeks or just a couple times before a show. So you got all this free time. You might as well go play music with other people. So it was fun. Yeah, it was fun at that time. There was a show that I played with that Wedding Dress opened for Sun. So I got to play 2 sets in one show. It's pretty cool.
Wow. And Camp Dogs is the band that you are in right now. You just got off of a pretty big tour.
Yeah. Camp Dogs. I started with Jess, who I met her because she was doing a documentary on Sons. She came on tour with us a bunch of times. She probably came on 4 or 5 tours, maybe even more. I don't even know. She was always around with a camera, and I knew that she played piano, and she would sing harmony with us when we would kind of sing acoustic songs in the bus, but she wasn't really like a songwriter at that point. She was, but she kept it pretty quiet. And then she started showing me songs of hers, and I was like, I thought they were incredible. She's a fantastic songwriter. She has an amazing voice. And she has that thing that you can't learn about songwriting. It hits you a real type of way, the way she sings and the way she writes lyrics. And so I pretty much got all in behind that as soon as we started working on songs together. I put my songs aside and was like, enough of this. I've been writing songs for bands for, at that point, over 10 years. And I was like, let's I'm gonna focus on this and focus on doing her songs because they're great.
And so you're feeling good about music?
Yeah, it's a funny thing. It's something that I, have many times been like, I know that I love music and I know that I love playing and writing music. I have no idea why. I don't know where it comes from or what the deal is. But yeah, it's just something that I can't stop doing. I can't stop playing shows, can't stop thinking about the next shows, can't stop thinking about recording, and it's on my mind at all times for whatever reason that is. I have no idea why. Do you ever think about that?
Yeah, I try not to.
Yeah, it's just like there's people in this world that are just born. For some people, it's like I don't know.
I'm assuming it's probably a similar thing as to what makes like a doctor, give his life or her life to such a demanding.
Well, I don't know, because you get paid so much money to be a doctor. There's definitely a huge incentive there for this upward mobility financially, and there is with music too. It's like I do get paid to be in Camp Dogs. It's not a lot of money, but it has nothing to do with why I do it. And
right.
And it's a largely once you get used to being on stage and playing for crowds, there's not a lot of other stuff there to make you want to do it other than just you are obsessed with the act of doing it. And I that's something, as I get older, that's the one thing that I do ask myself that question. But yeah.
Well, I can't wait to hear what your next band sounds like. And yeah, I just thanks for being an inspiration and taking the time to talk on the podcast.
Oh man, thanks for talking to me. It's been fun.
Thank you for listening to my podcast, Jon Walker's Podcast. If you made it this far, please support the podcast by maybe buying Cassie Walker's book. Yes, that's right, Cassie Walker, that's my wife. She has a book called Everything is Moving, and it's on Amazon.com. Or you could No, that's it. Thank you. Bye.